$100 billion to finance terror all over the world, including the United States and certainly including Israel. As president, I withdrew from the anti-American, anti-Israel, anti-Semitic UN Human Rights Council. Withdrew. And while others talk about stopping funding for Hamas and the Palestinian Authority, I actually did it. I stopped. I said, wait a minute, you just said death to America, didn't you? You said death. Remember they came into Washington to meet me. They went back. I thought it was a nice meeting, to be honest. They were very nice. And then they went back. I said, they couldn't have. That's not the same group I left. They went back and they said, death to America, death to Israel. So I said, really? We stopped immediately funding the $700 million. That moment, I said, stop funding them. And we did, immediately. They leave and they say, death to America, and then we pay. And by the way, they were saying it for years, and people just kept paying them $742 million a year. It's a lot of money. After decades of broken promises by past leaders, I kept my promise, recognized Israel's eternal capital, and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. I actually got the building built, too. Got it built. They've been talking about that for a long time, Miriam. That's what you and that great man, that's what you wanted, right? And we got it built. You know, we got it built. And it's supposed to cost $2 billion. We got it done for $500,000. I don't want to sound, because it's probably nicer than the two. But I said, do we have land? Instead of buying, we're going to pay hundreds of millions of dollars for this crummy location, as we say in real estate, right? A lot of good real estate guys here. And I said, do we have a piece of land where we have maybe a building on it? We'll renovate it, fix it, and get it done. They called me back 2 days. Sir, we have a great site, probably the best site in Jerusalem. I think it's the best site in Jerusalem. There was a building on it. And I said, make sure you use a lot of Jerusalem stone. A friend of mine has Jerusalem stone in New York City. That's all he talks about is Jerusalem stone. I said, do you have any Jerusalem stone there? We can buy it for the right price. They said, this is Jerusalem. The whole building is made out of Jerusalem stone. And it's a beautiful building. I got it opened in 4 months for $500,000. They said, we can do it, sir, for $400,000. It's the first time I've ever said this in my life. I said, $400,000? That sounds too cheap. Make it more expensive. But actually, because they said, you know, I was supposed to sign I was signing papers for $2 billion. This is nicer than the $2 billion version that probably never would have gotten built, by the way. You're open in 4 months, and it's been incredible. And remember, they said, oh, if you do that, it's going to be bloodshed all over the world. There was no bloodshed. There was no bloodshed. But now there's bloodshed for different reasons, and that's terrible. I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. Nobody even thought about that. For 72 years, people would fly into Israel, and they'd talk and talk and talk about the Golan Heights, and I got it for them. We got them sovereignty over the Golan Heights. That was a big deal. We got it done in about 12 minutes. That's right. 72 years they talked about the Golan Heights. Every year people would fly in and they'd talk about the Golan Heights. They'd have lunch, they'd have dinner, they'd go home, and they'd come back a year later and keep talking. I got it done in 12 minutes. That was a big one. The experts said our pro-Israel policies would produce terror and chaos, but I knew the opposite was true. That turned out to be right. We got the historic Abraham Accords and peace in the Middle East. Peace in the Middle East. In 4 countries, you should have had every one of them signed. Within 3 months after the election, I would have had every single one of them signed. And maybe, because they were really wanting to make a deal, maybe even Iran, if you can believe that, we would have had every country signed. You would have had real peace in the Middle East. And look at what you've got now. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. So fast. I'm proud to be the best friend that Israel has ever had. Everybody says, are you, sir, the best friend that Israel's ever had? And with 4 more years, I will defend America, and I will defend Western civilization from the barbarians and savages and fascists that you see right now trying to do harm to our beautiful Israel. We're not going to let that happen. Instead of cuddling up to the killers in Iran, as Biden has done, I will once again sanction them until their ability to fund terror is absolutely gone. And I will unleash the most powerful economic weapon there is on earth. Drill, baby, drill. Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? You know, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia, and we don't use it. We go to Venezuela to get their tar. And then we refine it in the only plant that can do that. And you know where it is? It's in Houston, Texas, okay? So when they... Yeah, well, don't be so happy. Take a look at what they're doing to your air, you know, if you're a big believer in that, which you should be. I will totally demolish the deep state, and instead of targeting Trump supporters, our government will get back to fighting the terrorists where they should be, because that's our big problem. Just days ago, Customs and Border Patrol, who are incredible people, by the way, distributed a memo warning that Hamas and Hezbollah fighters and jihadists are infiltrating across our wide open border. They're all over the place. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. They're all over the place. On day 1, I will terminate every open border policy of the Biden administration, people are pouring into our country at levels never seen before for any country, not just here. Third world countries wouldn't let it happen. They'd fight them with sticks and stones if they had to. They're coming in by the millions and millions. I believe by the end of his term, you'll have more than 15 million people. That's bigger than New York State. And we have no idea who they are, where they come from. But we know they come from the prisons and the jails. We know they come from mental institutions and insane asylums. Sir, please don't say insane asylums. That's Silence of the Lamb stuff, right? That's Hannibal Lecter. Anybody ever hear of that nice gentleman?